All right, what's up, Lemon Heads? How's it going? Welcome to Lemon City or Vice City FC, Season 2, Episode 16, as the MLS heads into their Leagues Cup break. I'm your boy Fungus. Over here, we got Xavi Guerrero, who covers Inter Miami for us, and Alex Windley, who also covers Inter Miami for Bleacher Report, right? Still Bleacher Report, Alex?
Yes,
Yes?
sir.
All right, cool. All right, so let's get right into it, man. We're I guess it's midway through the season, right? And Inter Miami is still at the top. They started at the top. They're still at the top, even though they were without their top players for all of that Copa America. So let's break it down. Xavi, I'll give you the first words. Tell us a little bit about how we got to this point. Miami's still at the top of the league. I think they fell to second for like one game or two, and then they went back up, right? But
for like a minute. It's funny because in the last game, I asked Drake Calendar in the mix zone that particular question, and I said, "Hey, you guys have piled on a lot of points while Messi hasn't been here, and your high understandings. How did you guys end up playing so well?" And his thing was the young players have stepped up. Like everybody, he says everybody has stepped up, but the young players in particular. And he pointed to Yannick, who was there also in the mix zone, and he mentioned Redondo, he mentioned Kramaski, he mentioned all some of the young guys, and it makes a lot of sense. The veterans, we knew that the Busquets, Alba, Messi, Suarez, we know what they bring to the table. But the variable in the equation is how well are these young guys going to play? Yannick Bright, first round pick, straight from college, playing fantastic. I also asked him a question, and I told him, "Look, man, you're playing like a veteran. You look like a veteran out there. You don't look like a guy that just transitioned from college to the pro game, and you're making it look easy." And he said he said that the mentors on the team, and he had mentioned that the guy that plays his position is one of the greatest of all time, Busquets, right? So it's great to learn from players like that. It's great to have Messi on your team. It's great to see the work ethic, what they put in, how professional they are. And he's from New Hampshire, so he said that he's still getting acclimated because he doesn't run as much as he would like to. And I was like, wow, blown away, because he was one of the guys that ran all over the pitch. And that I thought that was a great answer. That he being humble and saying the mentors, the people that have helped you. And immediately I thought of just really quickly, I'm gonna touch that. Immediately when he said that, I thought of Campana. I said, man, why is Campana not taking this same approach with Luis Suarez? Why is he not picking his brain? Why is he not trying to mimic some of the things he does? Because Campana, you saw that big stretch of games, and he did okay, but he's getting paid more than an okay player. His expectations and his profile, his skill set is much more than just an okay player. So he should be more of a dominant player. And you saw, you see Suarez come in, his stats, and he's on one knee, he's older, and he's still moving around and making, even in this game where he didn't have a great game, he made a lot of things happen. He set people up, he took shots. He looked more active in that one game than Campana did over the span, because Campana had some decent showing, some good games. But now what you expect, in that 6-7 game period where you think, okay, he's the man, he's gonna show something, he's gonna break out. So that mentorship thing and that humility to pay attention and to mimic, I thought that was great from Yannick.
Alex, what about you?
Right. I agree with Exa regarding Campana. I remember they were playing Toronto a couple of days ago, and we had a chat in the press box about how Campana was just dropping so deep sometimes, and it was ruining the flow of the Miami's attack. And we all wanted him to push a little bit more forward during that match. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. And I think he was subbed a little bit early. And I agree. I'm sure Campana is, taking some advice from Suarez and Messi even. But I don't know, like you compare him with Yannick Bright, and you see with Yannick Bright that he's able to take that advice that Busquets has given him and really like up his game. You know, his match against um the team that they played a couple days ago, it's escaping me. Chicago. The team that they played a couple days ago, Chicago. Wright was arguably the best player on the field, one of the better players on the field. He was absolutely everywhere, just disrupting the Fire's midfield, really just letting Miami's attack, kind of flourish in that match. So they didn't have to do too much of the midfield work because Yannick Bright was cleaning up everything. And I think with Campana, I think everyone wants him to succeed and be that striker
Yeah.
that that what he scored 15 goals in his first year with Miami back in early 2023. I think a lot of people want him to get back to that, but this season, of course, with Suarez starting, it's hard to get a rhythm. But it's frustrating sometimes because he has the ability, and I'm sure he's taking that advice from Suarez and Messi. But sometimes he just likes to drop deep. He should be playing in that forward line, off the shoulder of the defender because he has the physicality to do so. He has the finishing ability. But right now he's dropping like he's a false nine, and it's strange because he's 6'3", 6'2", and he should really be in the box and not playing as like a David Villa type time circa 2009. So yeah, well, I don't know. It's a strange case with him, but hopefully as the season progresses, I think there's like 10 games left. Hopefully, Campana, as we get to the playoffs, he can show he's capable of playing as that target number 9.
And to be fair, he has always sat behind somebody, right? It was Higuain,
Yeah.
then it was Joseph, and now it's Suarez. Like he never gets the full. Hey, you know what? Here's the car keys. Take it. So that kind of maybe that kind of wears on the guy too a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, like Alex said, that messes with his momentum, So, but he's gonna have to step it up eventually because Suarez, he's not built for playing an entire season anymore. He's up there in age, he's got injuries and stuff like that. So at any moment, something can happen, he's down, and Campana has to be the guy. So maybe they should just give him a little bit more of garbage time minutes. Whenever they have a big lead or something like that. I don't know what they got to do in order to keep his momentum up, but definitely he's gonna have to step it up. Going into the latter part of the season.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. What do you think has been the biggest, like besides the young guys stepping up? Obviously, I don't think anybody expected the team to go on this sort of run while the guys were at Copa America. I don't think anybody expected that. So what is it? Like you mentioned, the young guys stepping up. I think it might like a culture thing. They're used to being around all these winners. It's rubbing off on them. Is there anything else? Was there any tactical changes, or did they stick to their plan? Even Calendar has stepped it up.
Absolutely, his level has increased. I mean, and that's one of the things. Everybody seems to have stepped it up. The cliche. They seem to be playing at a higher level. I think the other factor is there's a lot of talent on the team. This is a team that's been constructed. This is the most talented Inter Miami team in its history, right? Discounting Messi, let's put him to the side a second. Just everybody in general, they have fantastic players. The midfield to me is super young but super ultra talented. I mean, you already see Diego Gomez is getting looks from England, and he's gonna be shipped out. You have Redondo is another high ceiling, high caliber player, and he's playing well. He came back from that injury. The first game back, he was so, and now he's just back at his peak, and he's playing fantastic. He's defending. Like anytime the opposing team has the ball, the guy on his side, he's on him. He's annoying on him, and when he has the ball, he's smooth. Like the pass that he put over the top for Gomez in the previous game, for Gomez to score. He's a very talented player. Kramaski is considered one of the top 50 young players in the world. I forgot who had that ranking. And you have talent. David Ruiz is a good player, and look, he's sitting on the bench. You have Yannick Bright that to me, if they have, he could be like rookie of the year. It rarely does that happen for a defensive type player, but he's that good. He made what Alex said. He was noticeable. You could see him. He stuck out in that game, and just not just because of the balls he took away, but he also has enough ability to give a good pass and to surge forward and to find space. He did well. There was even a play where the ball was up high and he brought it down with ease and then gave a good pass forward. So he's got quality, he's got ability, and he bites. He's a dog. He dare I say, I don't know if people are going to get at me. Dare I say he's Gregory plus, he's Gregory higher level of Gregory, and he's still a kid because Gregory is one of the fan favorites because that guy was a dog. He was a dog, and he had his skill. He could do his thing, but right off the bat, this kid just there's something special about him. So I don't know.
Right. I mentioned in the Black Herons group chat that Bright was giving Gregory regen, like on FIFA, how the players age out and it's a regen. Yeah, that's he's giving that. But to the earlier question, I think Miami's able to do so well during this time period is the way the roster has been constructed. Last season, after the Leagues Cup, the team kind of tried to make the playoffs, but eventually injuries got up with them. But I think that last offseason that the team had heading into 2024, Chris Henderson wanted to make sure that there was enough depth for this team so that didn't happen. And they showed it over the last couple of games. He had Kermashki stepping up, Gomez, Redondo, the other game, who had, there's a reason why they brought him to the club. He's an incredibly smooth Rolls Royce of a player. Even guys like Ian Frey, who's coming back from injury and playing a full 90-minute, and that's a little scary coming back from 3 major knee injuries, but he looked okay at the end, and it seems like the team's managing his minutes a little bit better compared to the first time. Just these young players from the academy and that they brought over from South America, and you even see Diego Gomez about to get sold to the Premier League with Brighton to join up with I think Julio Enceso. He plays for Brighton as well. I have to double check that. So a fellow Paraguayan. So, I think it's a combination of good scouting, good roster construction. Of course, having Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Jordi Alba on there, it helps. But, I also think the veterans have helped the younger guys kind of come into their own as players. And so they feel more comfortable stepping up. Like I believe Yannick Bright talked about, we mentioned earlier, Busquets kind of helping him transition from college to the pros. So I think it's just a perfect storm for Miami at the moment. And with this Leagues Cup coming up, and I know the fans probably want to win it again, but for Miami, they're focused on MLS Cup and Supporters Shield. So with this Leagues Cup break coming up soon, the guys will be able to kind of reset a little, wait a month until MLS resumes, and then keep going with what they're doing.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't affect their momentum, right? They're having fantastic momentum. But like you said, you also have to consider, Chris Henderson, the job he has done. He's had a master class building the roster. And even before the new rule changes, which to me is like they're basically telling everybody, look, Inter Miami did it like this. You can do it too. So stop complaining. Mm-hmm. But Inter Miami, they always got criticism. Oh, they're busting the rules. They're going. No, they did everything, this time around to the T. They just were very creative and it's not luck. It's a fact that, Messi decided to come here. And when he came here, everything changed. So now you get these elite, they're older veteran players, but they're still elite players coming for pennies on the dollar, right? Because they're coming and accepting lesser money. They fit into the budget, into the plans of the team because they want to come here and they want to play with Messi. That's not cheating. That's not cheating. That's just, it's so Miami. They want to be here. But the way that they're doing it now, they're opening up. I think it's a good, step in the right direction. And hopefully it continues to open up even more to a point, not to get crazy, but to a point where now you can compete at all levels, definitely with Mexico, because they still, buddy-wise, they're still ahead. Mm-hmm. But the talent and the game on the pitch is closer than ever. I mean, Inter Miami won Leagues Cup last Leagues Cup
last year.
But
Yeah,
nice
but
to
you know
see
what? The Even the money gap between MLS and Mexico is shortening, is getting smaller. Like we're seeing a lot more MLS players being sold to European clubs, like you mentioned. This kid from Inter Miami and LAFC just transferred a guy to Barcelona today or yesterday. You know?
Yeah, Mamadou Fall, I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
the
defense.
center
yeah.
back.
Yeah,
And
Hmm.
Atlanta, Caleb Wiley to Chelsea. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like they're going to scrub teams. They're going to big time teams, and it looks like those the leagues over there have noticed that these young players are developing and getting quality play here
Hmm.
because the level of MLS has improved a lot. The style of play it's a faster pace. It's kind of like a similar European style pace more than South America's pace. It's different in MLS. So I mean, they're getting some good players going, and hopefully they keep replenishing and keep doing that, bringing the younger players and keep it going, keep getting better, and the local players, the academy players, keep coming and keep getting better because the best competition, the better the competition, the better you're going to be, the better player you're going to turn out to be. So let's hope that it continues that way.
Yeah, and to your point, yeah, Chris Henderson. What is it that you call him? The baby Godfather?
Baby Godfather, because
Baby.
Pat Riley's still
That's
the
right.
Godfather of Miami. So, until
So
he's
yeah,
gone, he's still the baby Godfather.
so to your point, baby Godfather, he did his thing, but I also think that they did a great job building their academy because there's guys on the team that are straight from the academy, man, and they're contributing. So I think that's another reason why they're doing so well. And I know the Golden Boy or whatever academy of the MLS is Philadelphia, but man, I think Miami's putting their names on the map.
yeah, and it's a good thing. I think I remember before the first team was really constructed. The academy was a thing for about 2 years before that, so they put their work in, and they're reaping that reward of having these young guys come through. I think even though Diego Gomez isn't an academy player, him just being young in South America from South America and being able to develop that quickly in a year and be sold off to Brighton, I think it's commendable.
Mhm.
And hopefully, well, maybe not too quickly. Maybe Benjamin Kamaski's next. Hopefully, not too soon. He's a homegrown, but guys like that, Noah Allen, Toto Avilas now, and some of these South American players coming in. Facundo Farias when he comes back next season. Redondo will likely be the next player out with the way he's playing now, and with Inter Miami, they could just keep on recycling players because there will be no shortage of players wanting to come with Miami to
Willing
play in
to come.
Miami.
Oh
Even
yeah.
when Messi leaves, he'll still be part time some ownership in the club, and he'll still have that legacy of playing for Inter Miami. So of course, players, all eyes will still be on the club. So players are going to want to come and still play. So interesting times for the club right now.
Yeah, and if young guys keep getting transferred over to European squads, that's just gonna make more younger players from South America or from wherever getting
Right,
kids in the academy. That's gonna motivate them more. So you know,
right,
they're getting fed from everywhere, which is what you want in a big club, right? In a successful club.
right.
Yeah.
And
All
there's
right.
so much
So,
local talent here. I mean, that you can add,
oh yeah, man.
you can add. It go without saying that there's so much talent in South Florida.
Hmm.
It's amazing. And actually, if you look at it, I mean, at some point we could do that. At some of the ones that are from here that have gone to other academies because they just there wasn't space or there wasn't like even Aiden Morris, in Columbus, he played in Western FC. He was a Western FC player. He wasn't here in the academy. He went off to Columbus, and there's several players like that have gone. I know of guys going to Sporting Kansas City, going all over the place from here. So there's a lot of talent down here. So Miami
Yeah.
is like a perfect storm, like Alex said. So many things are going well right now, and it's great because so many things went wrong early on, right? You could say even the first 4 years, even though they made playoffs and stuff, so many things went the wrong way, and it looks like things are being cleaned up, things are going better, and they formed a culture, and they're
Mhm.
formed a foundation, and they have a vision and a plan on how to move forward, and wait till the stadium gets here, right? What an attraction
Ooh.
that's going to be.
Oh
and,
yeah.
and once Messi leaves, once Suarez leaves, once Alba leaves, Busquets leaves, these guys, I don't think there's going to be a shortage of stars ever on this team because there's so many other guys behind that are linked to the team, right? You just let's just throw Griezmann out there. Neymar, I know he's
Mhm.
chubby and he's not in football shape right now, but I love me some Neymar. Imagine Neymar is the next 10. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, Messi. Messi goes like this. Okay, Ney, now it's your turn. It's like whoa, So that would be amazing. There's a lot of options down here.
100%, man. Yeah, and I agree with you. It's gonna be, one right after another of stars that come to this team. That's what they're building. That's what they've built, essentially. So yeah, man. Let's talk a little bit about their schedule moving forward into Leagues Cup, right? Alex, you seem to have alluded to the fact that maybe they're not putting so much importance into it. They already won it. They're more focused on the regular season and supporter shield, right? But these guys, they're all professionals. They're all competitive. I'm sure they want to win. Then I don't think they're gonna just roll over. So let's talk a little bit about those games. How do you foresee them going?
Yeah, I think, like you said, this is my personal opinion. I don't think Miami will take it as seriously as they did last season. It was their first trophy ever. Messi, signed, Busquets signed, Alba signed. It was a perfect storm of everything, and it just clicked for the team.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but after that Leagues Cup run, and then they had the U.S. Open Cup. The team was gassed, and that showed
Yeah.
in their regular season form. Fighting for the playoffs, they just couldn't do it, and the football wasn't particularly good either. They were just tired and fatigued and had to recover some injuries. But I think this season, yeah, I agree. They won't completely like throw it off because they're professionals and they want to play. But Miami, they're 5 points clear of the supporter shield race from Cincinnati. They're in prime position for a home field advantage when it comes to MLS Cup. Messi's already injured. I don't think they want any long term
No.
ish injuries to Busquets, Alba, Suarez. Suarez is already out of the All Star game due to some knee soreness. So I think the team, they'll be cautious. I think it'll be a lot of guys like Ryan Saylor getting minutes, David Ruiz, maybe even a Lawson Sunderland, Leo Alfonso, guys like that who will be getting Leagues Cup minutes just for the sake of, throwing a competitive team out there. But I don't think they're going to do a first choice, a full strength starting 11 with these games. If they manage to make it, past Puebla and what's the other team that they play in the group stage? I'll have to double check, but
Tigres? Is it Tigres?
yes,
Yeah.
Tigres and Puebla, which are Tigres alone, like
One of the top teams,
Yeah.
it's they're a top team in Liga MX, and yeah, they I don't I don't see how Miami will get past that. So I think last year's Leagues Cup run was probably a little bit easier for Miami. This year, Puebla, Tigres away as well, for some other MLS sides that are in good form. I just don't see Miami really throwing their best starting 11. But once they get back into MLS, the next team that they play is FC Cincinnati at home at Chase Stadium, which is going to be a huge supporter shield implications that Tata would definitely want a full strength starting 11 for that, and a little bit of a revenge game after that 6-1 thumping they got up there in Ohio. So I do think that this League's Cup, it'll be a little bit more cautious. Of course, they'll be competitive, but I do think it's just gonna be like, don't get injured, play well, but if you lose, it's not a big deal.
I'm happy. I'm happy if he plays the young guys that are on the bench. I have no issue with him playing Ryan Saylor. I'm one of the guys that sometimes I wonder why Saylor doesn't get more of a chance, because to me he's Kristoff, just a little bit younger, a little bit faster. Because Kristoff has got to burn in at least 4 games on a one-on-one. I know Sailor's in the fastest guy, but he's not terrible either. And every time he's come in, he's done a good job. So I don't understand why he's. So I would hope that he plays him. I definitely want to see Frey play a little bit more. Yannick Bright, Alfonso has been a find. I like him. Maybe Campana gets more time during this, during that stretch, and they bring Suarez off the bench. I want Borgelin to get a little more playing time. I think that he needs to keep playing to develop, and I would like to see him more at the striker role, because they put him out, and it's tough for a guy that's 6'4" to go out to the wing, and he's still developing. People have to understand, just because you're a pro player doesn't mean you're a finished product. right? So he's still developing technique wise, and he does a decent job, I think, for as big as he is on the wing. So I would love to see him at his natural position develop there as a striker because he's good in the air, obviously with his height, and he's shown, at least in my eyes, he's shown a steady improvement with the ball, with a little bit of the decision making. But you need to play, so I would definitely not mind if the younger guys play because I think there's enough talent mixed in the younger guys with the veterans to be competitive in that tournament. Yeah, and we'll see because when they play the champions against Monterrey, the first leg, the younger guys play. They lost the game 1-0, and I thought they played really, really well. Then the
Hmm.
second leg, everybody was there. The vets played, and I thought they played a better game in the first game. Honestly, that was just me. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I definitely want to see the younger guys get some playing time.
Yeah, that's going to benefit them too. That's experience that you're going to need moving forward. If you make a deep playoff run, you need to rest your older veterans. Stuff like that. Maybe somebody catches an injury, and if these young guys have that playoff atmosphere type of experience already, it's not going to catch them by surprise. So yeah, I 100% agree with you. All right, let's talk a little bit about the MLS All-Star game, right? We got a bunch of Inter Miami guys. How many Inter Miami players made the squad?
Four, but
Two.
only two are
Well,
playing.
yeah.
Who made it? Yeah, Messi and Suarez
It
are not
was
playing because they're injured. But who are the
the
other two?
Barca boys.
Oh, okay,
Hmm.
Jordi and Busquets.
Hmm.
All right, all right. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's not a surprise. But that just goes to show, man, what they've put, the team that they've put together to have four guys in an all-star team is insane. Is insane. So that's tell me a little bit about the festivities, because I know that it's not like they just play a game East versus West. Like that's not really what they do. So tell me a little bit about what MLS is doing.
I'm looking at the page here. There's 5 different challenges. MLS All Star Shooting Challenge.
And
The
what is
MLS
that?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm not sure if that's a great question. It's just the shooting challenge.
Maybe they shoot at targets, I'm sure.
I don't remember if that's the one where they have the net on the goal and there's certain their points. It's based on points. I'm not sure if
Oh,
that's that.
they have to recreate that Joga Bonito Ronaldinho commercial from the early 2000s. Remember that?
Oh, wow, you're right.
The crossbar challenge.
That one is one of them actually. The
No,
crossbar
for
challenge. Yes, yes, that
oh,
is
that's cool.
actually one of them. Passing challenge, cross and volley challenge, and touch challenge. The cross and volley challenge is pretty good too. I mean, that'd be a great one for Gressel, who puts those dimes right into to our players.
Right?
Those are the challenges, and also they have a goalkeeper. The MLS next goalkeepers are going to have a challenge. Let me see where they go. Goalie Wars. It's called the Goalie Wars.
But it's for the MLS Next
Yeah,
keepers.
yes, but
Ah,
that's a fun one where they go at each other. There are two, each one
uh-huh.
covering a goal, and they have to score. You can either
Oh, like
throw
they
it, kick
throw.
it, drop kick it, yeah, and
Got
it's
you.
continuous for like 90-second rounds. It's it's
Jesus.
it's fun. Like these challenges and these skills are fun for people to watch and fun for the players to participate. So that's something that you catch. It's going to be interesting. And then the All Star Challenge, like we are saying before the show, it's fun because it's two separate leagues,
Yeah.
and even though it's a fun activities, they want to play that have that ego, that pride, professional. So it becomes an interesting game that I would love for NBA or baseball, anybody to have All Star games like that, to
Mhm.
mix leagues and play against different leagues around the world.
Because it used to be that they would take the MLS All Stars and they'll play against like a Premier League club or something like that,
Yeah,
right? And MLS would always get their ass handed to them. But
Right.
I was gonna say they played well a couple of times, but most times they get their butts whooped.
yeah, I think for the sake of not looking bad, they did away with that.
Well,
Right.
maybe at
Yeah.
some point they can bring it back if as the level continues to improve.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. They why don't they do like a MLS All Stars versus Liga MX All Stars?
That's the game. That's the game.
Yeah,
Oh, that's what they do. That's
Yeah,
what they
that's
do
yeah.
the game.
now.
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Oh,
And the
oh, that's
game and
cool.
that's the game that they're gonna play on Wednesday. Tomorrow is the skills challenge,
Yeah.
at Liga MX and MLS, and then Wednesday is the actual All Star game. And they started with festivities since Sunday. They had a concert and they have outdoor stuff, free. So it would have been a great. It looks like it's a great thing to actually be there. It would have been nice to travel and make something of it in
Where
Columbus.
is it gonna
It's
be?
in Columbus. It's in
In
Columbus.
Columbus. Ah, nice. All right, that's cool. That's cool. All right, so let's move on a little bit before we run out of time. I just want to talk about Orlando real quick, man. Orlando City started out started out the season terribly, terribly. People were calling for Coach Pareja's job and everything. It was that bad. But what people don't seem to realize is that this has been Orlando's MO always. They always start off slow, and then if they have a good season, this is the time of year when they start to pick it up, right? This is exactly what they did last year,
Mm.
right? They went into Leagues Cup, and then once they were eliminated from Leagues Cup and the league started again, they went on this incredible run into the MLS playoffs. So this time around, they have started that run a few weeks before Leagues Cup, right? They've only lost one game in their last 8 matches, and they're unbeaten in their last five. So I think, what do you guys think Orlando has any sort of shot to make some noise in the playoffs? Obviously, Miami's the favorite. I can't see anybody in the league really be put on the same level as Inter Miami right now. But do you think Orlando has a chance to make a deep run into the playoffs?
I think any team in MLS does. Honestly, the playoffs are such a and it's just 2 out of 3 now. So I think any team that's on a good run like Orlando is now, and they can keep up that momentum and heading towards the end of the season, any team really has a chance. I remember last season, I think FC Cincinnati won the Supporters Shield, right? And they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Crew were a more informed team, and they had a better they were basically a little bit more consistent, and they ended up knocking Cincinnati out of the Eastern Conference Final, and eventually they won MLS Cup. So yeah, I think any team has a chance, especially Orlando. Oscar Pereira. I know a lot of fans like to give him flack, but he can coach well. I remember specifically a couple seasons ago, even last year, Orlando were, I think they finished second in the East, I believe. I have to double check that. Don't quote me,
Yeah,
but
yeah. They were
yeah,
second in Supporter Shield also.
right. So they've got the head coach who knows how to coach. It's just a
Hmm.
matter of them getting back into form, and I think they can definitely make a run. And imagine if they somehow meet up against Miami in the playoffs, and good lord, imagine I'm just imagining the two fan bases again, because it's always heated when those two teams play. But yeah,
Yeah.
any team can make a run, and if Orlando keeps this up, I definitely see them making a run in the playoffs. Definitely.
Yeah,
Let me just let me just answer Josimaro real quick. Josimaro, now follow Portuguese. Sorry, man.
follow English.
Follow inglés. Go ahead, Chavi.
Yeah, before the season began, right? We did our preseason power rankings and all that, and we had Orlando City sitting at the top of the table. Why? Because
Yeah.
a solid veteran team coming back. They made a fantastic run last year. They were
Hmm.
very close, and then they got stronger, right? They picked up a couple
Yeah.
players,
They added Nico Lodero. They added Muriel. So,
and on paper they got stronger. So we thought, okay,
and
they're
they kept
there,
Duncan.
and they keep
Right.
running on Duncan. They keep running on Duncan.
Mhm.
So that beginning, that start was a little bit it threw everybody off a little bit. But throughout the shows, we kept saying, "Hey, be careful. There's still plenty of time." We kept saying, "Okay, there's 20 something games. There's still time. There's still time." And now, little by little, they're starting to get their groove. They're starting to mesh, and they definitely are a very dangerous team. There was a reason why they were one of the top teams, coming into the preseason. So if they put it together, they could definitely give anybody anybody a run, including Inter Miami. Inter Miami is definitely the favorite, right? Because when you have Messi, when you have the Barca boys, and when you have that young talent, when you're the favorite, and when you're playing the way you have been throughout the season, Miami has consistently won. You know, they got
Mhm.
clobbered at Cincy. It's a glitch in the matrix, a blip. It happens. It can happen to anybody. Um, where they're gonna play Cincy again at home. Remember, they got whooped by the Red Bulls early, and then the Red Bulls came here and took a beating. So I don't know if that's what's gonna happen with Cincinnati, but it's going to be a super important game in regards to the supporter shield. So I know Miami's going to be on fire. And what he's
Yeah.
saying that the power rankings, um, it's a fun thing to do, and then
Yeah,
you base it on, it's just kind of like predicting, right? You
of
base
course.
it on what you think is going to happen, and the way we do our power rankings is more up to the moment of what was happening recently, because I've seen,
Hmm.
I honestly think ours are better than all those other ones anyway, because we've been more accurate. But it's just a fun thing to do, but it gives you an idea of who the top teams are. And like, getting back to Orlando, I think they definitely can challenge anyone in the Eastern Conference, They can challenge anybody. So you got to keep an eye out for them, and you have to, in sports, always keep an eye out for that underdog team that comes from the bottom and starts surging at the right time. They become very
Oh yeah,
dangerous. They become dangerous. So we'll see. We
they
give them respect. They don't respect Miami. We always whoop their butts, but for some reason they're always talking garbage about Miami. And what can you say?
the Orlando fan base really hates Miami. I can
I don't.
confirm that to you guys. They
It's
really hate Miami, and it's it's not surprising. You know what I mean? It's like two cities that are within driving distance of each other. That maybe one has that sort of little brother syndrome kind of thing, and Miami, like we're all from Miami. We know what we are like. You know what I mean? So
it
we
is
can't.
what it is. It is what it is, man.
It is
It
what it
is
is.
what it is.
Exactly.
It's a fun rivalry. It's a fun rivalry, and
It is a fun rivalry. It
yeah.
makes for a fun rivalry. And I spoke um to Robin Jansen after their last game. I asked him, what's been the catalyst for them turning it around at this point in the season. He said that it really just has to do with guys getting more confidence. Right? He used that word a couple of times, confidence, and I'm thinking that's kind of weird. Like, how could these guys not be confident after the way that they finished last season?
They lost their mojo.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with the fact that they lost some guys and they added some new guys that were that and I mentioned this in my articles in the beginning of the season when they were on that dry spell. They added some guys that were supposed to take that leadership role, right? In Lodeiro and Muriel. So I think the guys that were already established, maybe that messed with their confidence. But to Jansen's point, guys like Facundo Torres are getting their mojo back, are getting that confidence back, and right up to this point in the season, Duncan McGuire was the leading goal scorer for the team, but Facundo has in the past few games has been on a run. He came off the bench last game because he had like a thigh injury, but the games before that he went on a crazy run. Now he's the leading goal scorer for the team, and if Orlando's gonna make noise moving forward, Facundo needs to be a big part of that. Duncan needs to continue doing his thing, especially if he wants to get another chance to move to Europe. And Lodeiro is playing great also. He's facilitating, but Muriel he needs to step it up. He's not doing what they brought him in to do, which is to score goals at the rate that at least a percentage of the rate that he was doing in Italy. So that's not happening. But they've turned it around, and I think like Jansen said, confidence is the reason why, right? I think they're just figuring out, how to play with each other now. Who's stepping up and all that stuff. So we'll see how they do in Leagues Cup. They didn't do great last year. They lost they were eliminated by Tigres, who's playing Miami this season. But they played Tigres well. Yeah, I think they had tied Tigres for three straight matches, and then they got blown out in the fourth
Yeah,
one.
it was tight. It was tight. It wasn't. They were not a pushover.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see how it goes for them, and if they can continue to make that late season push after League's Cup is over. All right, man. Let's get into our top 10 MLS we'll see weekly rankings. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen, and can you guys see that?
Yeah,
All
Marcelo
right,
guy Matias there.
there you go. So
Rojo.
obviously, no surprise, Inter Miami is number one. Like we mentioned earlier, they had dropped to number two because they had gotten blown out, but they quickly regained that top spot. All right, so we already talked a lot about Inter Miami. We don't need to go into it. LAFC, however, is at number two. Um, they look great. They look great. Obviously, they're competing in the West. Can you guys tell me a little bit about what's been working for them?
It's come together, right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
LAFC, it's early in the season, it wasn't working for them. It wasn't looking great, and people were wondering what was happening to the. They're one of the royalties in MLS, right? They're recent champions. They're always on the top, a powerhouse team, and they got a lot of weapons. They got a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
in their favor, and it's working. It's coming together. The team is meshing. It's playing cohesive, and it's a tough team, and everybody knows playing at their stadium is amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The fan base, I think, is fantastic there. It makes the atmosphere, that much stronger for the home team. And they just have a lot of talent, man. They just have a lot of talent. They're well coached, and it's coming together. And they have the pedigree and they have the experience. They've done it before, and they continue to be at the top. One of the teams that will challenge Miami. It's one of those teams that can challenge. You asked, Miami. Yeah, Miami's in a category, but there's three. I would say three, maybe four teams that can push Miami, and LAFC is one of them.
All right, and then look. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Alex.
I was gonna chime in real quick. I was watching
Mm-hmm.
LA play Seattle the other day, and Denny Mwanga scored. So they were in the second
That
half.
guy's
LA,
nasty.
yeah, he's crazy good. Like the
Yeah.
second half of that game, LA they didn't have the ball for like the first 30 minutes of that second first half, and then it took one pass from I think it was from Bogusz to Denny Mwanga, and he scored on that counter attack. And I've started to watch a little bit more of the West now with MLS Cup coming up, and seeing who Miami will potentially have to play in the final if they get that far. And if LAFC, Miami, we've seen that they can be really susceptible to the pacey teams with speedy wingers, especially when they get going. So if Miami make the final and it's against LAFC, it'll be a hard match, especially with Boanga playing like he is, Giroud coming in. Mateus Bogusz, at Tuesta came back, and now he's pulling the strings from deep with Ilie, and they're just a crazy good team,
Very
guys. And
talented.
yeah,
Very
if
talented.
Miami make that final, I don't know. Tata's gonna have to figure something out, but yeah, they're a solid side.
That'll probably be the most entertaining final in the history of MLS. Inter
Right.
Miami versus LAFC would be insane. Would be completely insane. All right,
Yeah.
at number three, we have Columbus Crew, last
The
year's
champs.
MLS Cup, yeah, champs. Obviously they're still in form, right? They're third in the East, so they're Cincinnati is above them, but Cincinnati's a little below in our rankings this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But Columbus, man, yeah, they look good lately.
Who did they just whoop recently? It just escaping me right now. They went somewhere and just like put a pounding on a team. I think it was like 5-1 or something like that.
They beat Atlanta. No, they just lost to Atlanta.
Right now, but they've been in a run where they just it
They
was a
oh they
tough.
beat LAFC, but that
Oh,
was
it
like
was
two
LA,
match. That was
it
like two
was the
matches ago.
LAFC, right? So it's one of
Yeah,
our top teams, and it got destroyed by the other one. So it tells you
and that
how
was at
even it
LA.
is at the top. Exactly, exactly. Yeah, Columbus. You have Cucho, who's a goal scoring machine, right? He's
Hmm.
dangerous, and they're the champs. They've been there before. They lost Morris, so that's some pop in the midfield. But they got Nagby, who wins. He just wins, right? Veteran. Everywhere he's been, he's always won, and he knows how to do it. So it's important to have players like that. And Columbus is another team that can challenge. It's one of those teams that I feel that can challenge.
All right, and then we got LA Galaxy sitting at number 4. This is surprising to me because they're still ahead in the standings above LAFC, right? And I don't know what Edwin based it out of. Maybe it's what have you done for me lately kind of thing because I think they lost a game recently. But yeah, but they still look really good. Ricky Pooch is been amazing lately. Ricky Pooch, bro, that guy has the best name in MLS. He's been he's been amazing lately. I know I've seen people on online just say that he might be the best player in MLS right now, which
It's fair.
that's not a
It's
hot
fair.
take. That's fair.
It's
Yeah,
fair. It's fair to
he's
say.
yeah. So yeah, they're still up there.
What do you
But
think, Alex, about this LA Galaxy team?
Oh, I just get flashbacks to that game earlier in the season that Miami played them, where they were just getting beat for pace, guys. Like it was,
Yeah.
yeah, and that game was crazy. And I took that last minute Messi goal, where
You got lucky.
I think they drew at the end, but it was crazy how Ricky Pooch was pulling strings. Joseph Payne. So Gabby Peck, I don't think he even played, but that Galaxy team is dangerous, and now they're adding Marco Royce as well. And just like LAFC, if the Galaxy meet Miami in the final, it'll be difficult for Miami. I'm seeing it now. Teams with pacey wingers, with pacey players, it's hard for this Miami team because at the moment right now, of course, when Hector David Martinez at the center back from River, who will be coming into Miami on loan. Tom Bogart already mentioned that the deal was closed, so hopefully that will help Miami with their backline issues. But I just see, a final against LFC or a Galaxy, and Miami just getting beat for pace, and they don't know how to counteract that. Maybe Tata goes to back five. I don't know, but I will say that Miami of earlier this season and Miami now are two different teams. They have a bunch of new players. They shipped out a couple of players. The roster does look different, so maybe they'll be able to handle it a little bit better. But still, this Galaxy team, they look tough, guys. And like I said, they're adding Marco Royce now, and they have two creative number 10s in Ricky Puig and Royce, and they're fast wingers. And you have guys like Diego Fagundes, who is a quality player and himself. And yeah, they're just quite loaded, and I no words for them because they're an excellent team to watch, and they're well coached as well.
I think that they remind me. It's like LA, like the Lakers Showtime. These guys are run, fun and gun. They're a fun team to watch. Ricky Puig is definitely showing how talented he is and why he played in Barcelona. It would be a fascinating game against them, and it's styles, right? Miami to play any of these teams would have to have the ball, would have to own possession to counter that speed and the wing play that they have, because it is tough. Miami, I would say, got lucky to walk out of Dodge with a tie, early in the season, and this was very early in the season. And I thought this is one of the better teams in the league. They weren't considered that at that moment, but I said these guys are they got something there. They have something there, and now they've proven that they are a good team. So yeah, it's definitely a tough team. Another one of those teams that I think can challenge anybody. They have their weaknesses too, but Miami needs to strengthen up that defense. Toto Avides to me has stepped up. If David Martinez, Hector David Martinez comes in and is able, another lefty that they keep bringing in lefty, they want somebody on that left side. If he is able to come in and just center and get everybody back into a good flow on defense, which Inter Miami had for a while. It's not like they're doing terrible either, but with the injuries, it's just. The only time they did terrible was in that Cincy game where you were pairing Busquets with Kristoff, two veterans that were just too old. If you have those two guys against the Galaxy with that pace, we're going to be in trouble too. So there has to be options.
All right, and then at number 5 we got Real Salt Lake. I'm actually surprised that they're at number 5 because they haven't won a game in 3 matches. 3 straight matches they haven't won, and I think Cincinnati, who's at number 6, is coming off a win, so that's kind of surprising to me. But yeah, Real Salt Lake, they're still they're a solid squad. they've looked pretty good this season. So what do you guys have to say about them?
Yeah, Diego Luna, Chicho Aranjo, they've got some phenomenal players as well. I'll admit I have not watched too much of them compared to the LA teams and Seattle, of course, and the Timbers occasionally just see how Phil Neville is doing. But
Our guy Phil.
And
Neville is such a nice guy.
Chicho Arango's suspended for a few games, no?
Yeah, for I think it was an MLS like disciplinary thing for 4 games. I don't know what he said, but the
They
fact that
I don't think they released details,
yeah,
but it was
so
like yes, what was it? Conduct detrimental to the team or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
which
Oh,
sounds pretty serious.
that's
Yeah,
Yeah,
terrible. Having an amazing MVP type season,
right.
he might have
yeah.
well just given up the MVP race there. Fantastic. It's the team. I don't know if you remember early in the season when Miami beat them. We said we were going to keep an eye on them because they're very awesome. And
Yep.
we keep saying the same thing. There's talented. This is a testament to how much MLS has grown, right? How much better the level of play has become. That each team that we're mentioning is 3, 4 deep players that are really, really good, high caliber players. Salt Lake, Chicho is a very solid player. You have Andre Gomez, is young guy, young players. Luna, they're young players that are still developing, but are very, very skilled and very, very talented. So Real Salt Lake is a team that can challenge teams, but I think their challenge is that they're too young. I think Chicho, is experienced as a veteran, but I think the pieces around him, the attacking pieces, the pieces that need to help in the scoring, are a little young and will suffer some in once the playoffs start. Could be wrong, but that's one of the teams that we said we were going to follow, Edwin and I, because they had like 4 Colombians on that team. So we said, okay, we'll follow them after Inter Miami to see how our Colombian guys are doing. But I think it's a talented team. I think it's a team that's in construction, under construction, and growing. That next season and after that, it's going to be one of the top teams if they continue to keep the roster together. Obviously, because you got some young players that people are interested and might move them. But it's a tough team. But out of those teams, that's not one of the ones that I think is going to challenge. Now watch them go make it all the way to the final. But I don't think they're going to be one of the ones that's going to challenge coming out of the West. But they're very good and fun to watch, and it's growing. They're a work in progress.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, and like I mentioned, FC Cincinnati's right below them. Last year's
Supporter Shield.
Supporter Shield winners. But this year they're still right there, man. They're right behind
5 points.
Miami. Yeah, and that they had surpassed Miami for 1 week, but then they lost a couple, or I think they tied one or something like that. But they're still right there.
They've lost 3 in a row, which is surprising. A team, I don't know if they had all their focus, all their eggs on just beating Miami, and it got to them where they just whooped us.
Maybe
they got caught because sometimes you get that high and that euphoria, and then reality hits you that it hit them 3 in a row.
They let their guard down after that Miami win.
They might have. Well, Lucho Costa didn't play. I believe it was the last game, but he's all the difference, and that's the difference between an Inter Miami team and another team where their top player is out.
Yeah.
Inter Miami is able to regroup and actually go on a better run that they have all season actually. And other teams, I don't think can do that. I don't think if Ricky Puig goes down for the Galaxy, I don't think if Boanga goes down for LAFC, I don't think if Cucho goes down for Columbus, I don't think any of those teams will be able to do what Inter Miami's doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree, Alex.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think so many teams rely on their star players. So it's weird to see Miami get flack for like Messi's out, and when they lost against Cincinnati, the crowd was like, "Where's Messi?" But I saw an interesting statistic about Cincinnati unable to win a single match without Lucho on the field for them, going back to early 2022 when he joined the team. So it's not a unique thing to MLS. Like any team without their DPs are going to play poorly, like Miami does and Cincinnati does. Like take your pick. So I do think it's strange, but like,
And that goes for any sports team in the
yeah,
world. Like it doesn't. It's
Of
not
course.
specific to soccer or basketball or
That's why
baseball,
they're
whatever.
called difference makers, right?
right.
Exactly. If you don't have your best player, you're not gonna play as well.
You're
That's
not gonna
just
play well.
that's
So.
obvious. All right, so we got like 5 minutes left. So let's run through these last four. Red Bulls. Xavi, go.
Tough team, tough team. You know what they bring. They're a grinded out team. I don't think that
Yeah.
they are a challenge to win MLS Cup, but I do think that they can be a thorn on the side to anybody that plays them, and you don't want to go up against them. But it's a very tough team. They whooped Inter Miami the first meeting, and then they got whooped down here. So that evened out
Yeah.
there. But I think they're a good team. I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a championship team yet, but I do think
Okay.
they're a good team.
Alex.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Red Bulls. I was watching. I had one eye on their match against Cincinnati when Miami were playing the Chicago the other night, and oh my gosh, they're such a relentless team. Lewis Morgan scoring a brace for the Red Bulls. An Inter Miami sleeper agent, ex Miami player. So thanks for that, Lewis. But like, yeah, they're a relentless team. Red Bull style. They're gonna keep going to the 90-minute, and it's difficult for teams to handle that. And that's another team that Miami don't want to face in the playoffs, especially if it's a best of 2 out of 3. It's they got pace, the physicality, multiple ex Miami players on there, and they're gonna feel some type of way. So
Yeah.
they're a solid side.
All right. All right. Next up, Colorado at number 8. I don't think anybody expected them to be as good as they've been. Right? They just beat Salt Lake actually. So what's your guys' take on them?
When they picked up a couple, Mihalovic, when they picked up, I forgot who they picked up a couple of people that made them stronger, and it seems like it's meshed and worked out quicker, sooner than expected. So they're a good team. They have good players, but I also don't think this is one of the teams that's going to be there at the end. I think
Mm.
they're going to be there and compete, but I don't think they're going to be there at the end. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know. That's why you play the games, right?
That's why you play the games. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Alex.
Yeah, I agree. I think Colorado, they've got Cole Bassett, who's having a phenomenal season for them as a number 8. I think he has like 8 goals as a defensive midfielder, which is insane.
Oof.
And he's been pulling the strings for them and
That's
all that good
wild.
stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think Chris Armas, who's their manager, they won the what's it called, the Rocky Mountain Cup the other night, and the fan base is so passionate. And yeah, I don't think anyone expected them to see him this high. They have Jordy Mihailovic. He's gone to the Olympics, I believe. I have to double check that. So they're
Yeah,
probably
he did.
yeah,
That's
he's at the Olympics. I gotta double check. They're probably gonna struggle a little bit, but they're a solid side as well. And there's a lot of good teams this year in MLS. There's no one like completely running away with anything. So I think that's just good for the league. Every team being competitive. Besides, like I think the Union, they were struggling a little bit, but they're coming back. So
That's good. All right.
Yeah.
Real fast, Portland. I know you want to say something good, nice about Neville, Xavi.
Oh my God. No. Well, I just remember, I don't know how many shows back where I mentioned Portland as a team that
You
'cause
did.
The question was, who do you think could surprise from, they were at the rock bottom. I think they were like in last place or next to last at that point. And I said, hey, keep your eye on Portland because they got some good players and they're getting, bringing some people in. And I think things haven't worked out, but I think they're a decent team. And Edwin basically laughed at me. Edwin, if you're listening,
He did.
and my guy,
props
and
to
my
you,
guy,
Xavi.
my guy Phil Neville, there because they got. I mean, Evander is one of the better players in the league. He's one of the better players in the league, and he's starting to come into his own and actually, playing how he should be playing. So they're a tough team. They're a tough team for anybody in the West that's going to face them, early on. I don't have them as making it to the final, but they've done great to just come up and be number 9 on our MLS rankings. Our rankings.
All right, we got like 30 seconds, Alex.
Yeah, I agree. I keep an eye on the Timbers solely because of Kamal Miller and Phil Neville, and they're doing better than I expected. And I think having Evander as their number 10, Brazilian wonder kid. I think Miami were linked to him at least once in the past like 2 or 3 years. Solid side. I don't expect them to maybe like really compete in the West, but I think they'll give some teams some trouble.
Yeah. All right, number 10. I'll cap it off. Number 10, NYCFC. They just beat Orlando City, or they didn't beat Orlando City. They tied Orlando City in Orlando which, tie goes to the runner. So I think winner of that game was going to be was going to take that number 10 spot, and New York City did it. All right, guys. So that's it for today's show. We'll see you next week. Peace.